because Roger Wakefield's banged me on the head a few times on why isn't his knowledge panel popping up. But I see he's not driven any new links and there don't appear to be any citations. The citations are mentioned. Hey, that's all right. Well, you got Steven behind you. You can't see him, but you see me.
I do.
I'm interviewing someone on podcast in 4 minutes, so we'll make this one of the fastest meetings ever.
Great. I love it.
Okay. We want to create a visible web page for every single noun, product, term, person, thing, object, whatever there is. And then because of the access checklist or the idea of putting that information in multiple ways, we're giving Google that corroborating signal, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. And for these 6 businesses or entities that we have we created entity objects for them? And this is what Will and Steven were working on. I just want to put that stuff out there because if we are mapping rogerwakefield.com or the Trade Talks or Leak Pro or whatever, if we have properly, for every one of these, I'm using search engine for each of these entities. If we have all the entity objects, you understand, like an entity object is like the Twitter for the Trade Talks, right? Or LinkedIn for Leak Pro. If we have all the object, the entity objects all tied together, and then we link between them in the right way, then those will start triggering knowledge panels. Because that's really what Google wants to see. Because most people have nothing on them, or they just put it on Twitter or whatever. They don't realize that the web part's actually more important, because then the web piece links to all these other components. And then we run $a day and we promote through QPromote and these other sorts of tools. That's just, we're training Google what we want them to see, right? And then if we have our console, Google Analytics set up properly, then we can see that this is actually helping us rank and it's driving. All I want at this point is if you can just later today send over that updated content library for each of those 6 objects, then we'll look at what's the best performing content, what's ranking the best, or why isn't this one thing ranking when we search for the Trade Talks or Roger Wakefield, right?
Right. So that I have a couple of questions regarding all of this. One being, you mentioned the mentions. How do we get those citations? How do we get people to talk about him, to post about him? Like how do we drive that?
We start with the existing properties that we have and we cross-link, or we use the fact that Roger and I are friends, or Roger's spoken at these conferences, or he's interviewed so-and-so. Every time Roger interviews somebody on a podcast, because we have a web page for every single thing, we should create a web page on that person that we interviewed on rogerwakefield.co or whatever, right?
Was that on me to do, to create a web page for all of these things?
Or we have a VA do it, but I think the best thing is that you do it first and then we hire a VA to do it. Or if you want me to do it, I'll do it. I've done it thousands of times, right?
Okay, because that's not something I know how to do.
It's easy. In WordPress, you hit the button, create page, and then you
but have we moved over to WordPress? Last I knew we were in Squarespace, in the process of being moved over to WordPress.
Okay, so whichever ones are still on Squarespace, let us know and we'll go to Upwork and pay a few $100s to each of these people to get it moved over. So then we can start using all our WordPress tools, right?
Okay, I thought that was already in process.
Well, we did it for a couple of them, but I have to have the inventory. So I can't play 20 questions or hide and go seek. If you make a list of these objects and let me know where they are, or what it is, then I'll show you how to hire on Upwork, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we just got to get communication, because if there's no communication, I'm not trying to blame you guys, but if there's no communication, then it's on me or Roger to initiate, like, hey, where are we at? Hey, what's going on? Right? So I want you guys to be proactive in communication. That way, if you're stuck or whatever, you let us know. Otherwise, if you're stuck or everything's great, but you don't say anything, then you got to wait for me to come in and say things.
I also don't know what I don't. Sometimes I don't know to ask the questions.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't know what to do, or if you're not actively making progress, say something.
Okay.
Yep. Will help. I'll help. Right. Not blaming anybody. Let's just make sure we're still moving. If we're not moving, you don't know what to do, or what, just say something, right? That's all I'm saying. Just say something, like email back. Otherwise we're assuming everything's great, right?
Yeah.
I've been reviewing the last thing you sent me about the knowledge panel.
Okay.
And where I wasn't quite sure, I went back to some of the training to remind myself, okay, what was this part of it? So I've been reviewing that and trying to move forward with that to make sure all of that. That was the last thing.
Communication. Right. And as we do that, and then we'll be able to iterate, things will be great. That it's just that one small thing. We do this one small thing, we'll win.
Okay.
There it is. And now we're a minute late for another podcast. So.
Okay. You go do what you need to do.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.